attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
Listening to Wine the Drive.
Oh, did you hit my record button on here? I had that going on purpose.
No, Cody. Cody did.
Cody, don't
Yeah.
you touch my board. All right. Happy afternoon at AirCargo, where the future's so bright we had to go outside, put on the shades, get a little tan, get a little color.
Yeah, do you see the beams just shining down upon us right now?
Oh yeah, it's like it shimmers in here. It shimmers and it sparkles and
It's a special city. It's the music city.
What I like about going to these conferences is when they have these sort of buffets, and the lines are usually shorter when there's fears about things like coronaviruses and whatnot, so you can eat a lot quicker.
Right, they just got us right through that line.
Yeah.
It must have been.
I like that they thematically named them, though. They have like the Music City mixed greens.
That's what I had.
Yeah.
That was quite good. Getting a little roughage, little fresh greens in the system.
Yes, keeps it moving.
At the conference.
Keeps you healthy. So,
do you know why they named it the Music City? The Music City? It started in the 1700s.
What?
The fiddle music on the Cumberland River, and the very first celebrity, Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Was from here.
Yes.
Music City.
Fiddling.
Wow, amazing stuff, Chad. The things you learn by sitting next to you. What did you learn earlier today? So we've had the stream going. The first What the Truck, I think we did that to tape, right? That one's going to come out later, but then we were doing the live feed. There was a few interviews. I know you sat down, you had some fireside chads. Who did you talk to?
I talked to a couple of fascinating people. I talked with Matt Bernstein, the CEO of HubTran, and what they are doing. Chicago-based, been around for about 5 years. They're helping things be, it's hard to explain sometimes, more efficient, like all these documents and stuff, they can just automatically be digitized, almost like doing facial recognition for documents, so that they can automatically sort and process a lot of things that were manual. One cool thing about them is they have measurables. They have measurables, Dooner. Like if your company takes them on, that you will see increased efficiencies, and if you don't, by virtue of then you don't have to use them anymore. So they're
a money back guarantee. Well, is that a money back guarantee, or is it like just stop using us if it doesn't? Because can't you kind of do that with anything?
Well, I suppose.
In a lot of ways.
They make integrating other systems good. They do that. I also talked with Brennan O'Dowd, co-founder of 7L Freight out of Oregon. Ooh. They're doing similar things, optimizing efficiencies. There's so much that you're going to be able to start seeing companies be able to do more and more and more. I mean, they founded if you can believe this, they founded 7L Freight in 2006, Dooner.
Wow.
Wasn't that another era?
I guess.
Were iPhones existing?
No, the iPhone didn't come out until 2007.
Social media was barely existing.
No, I got a MySpace account. Friendster.
So, boy, has he seen some changes, and yet, boy, they're making it happen. So, interesting stuff. Yeah. What about you? How was your NASA conversation?
That was fascinating. And some of the things that came up during it were how NASA some of plans to commercialize space, which I think a lot of people, when they think of it, they think of commercialization of space as just being maybe space travel and colonization, but there's a supply chain play at hand.
Yeah.
In terms of I thought this was a dumb question at first, but he's like, no, that's a great one, which NASA guy said I asked a great question, by the way. Not gloating here, but he said that that you could take packages. Like if you were to send something from Kennedy Spaceport, right? Yeah. And launch it up into space, you could have it land in China in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, take that, Amazon. Imagine that kind of delivery.
That's amazing. One thing that
But what about this, Chad? What if you put factories in space, right? And then you're just launching stuff down on people from the you order something.
It's so fast, it's almost as if you're flattening the Earth. And speaking of which, you did ask him another question about do they get annoyed by the flat earthers and stuff? And he had a surprising response.
He said no. I mean, it's good marketing, even if it's even if they're dumb questions, it keeps NASA on the tip of people's tongues. What else did we talk about? Black holes, vampire stars. I mean, we went deep. I highly recommend that. That Insiders will be out Thursday, by the way.
No question.
You can also go in the stream and watch it too.
Was too dumb.
No question was, and that's good for me. I like an interview like that. Speaking of interviews, who is coming on the show today?
Well, we have FreightWaves AirCargo reporter Eric Kulisch.
Who else?
Coming on. Bryan Schreiber, manager of AirCargo, Rickenbacker International Airport.
Whoa.
Not to be outdone, Andrew Ladebauche, CEO of Reliance Partners, is joined by Ronald Ramsey, the CCO. Do you know what CCO stands for? Yeah, do you know what that stands for, CCO?
Chief Commercial Officer.
Bing, 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 bing. Very good.
What else would it stand for?
I don't know, but a lot of people aren't familiar with that acronym. They think it's COO.
Oh, they keep trying to correct it in your Google Doc and stuff like that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
And finally,
Karen
last
Groff,
but not
right?
least, Karen Groff.
Roanoke Insurance Group.
Yeah.
Excited to see those guys here.
Not just anyone, but the president.
Yeah, and a lot of these folks, I actually saw Amanda Barlow just a few minutes ago. We were talking about Carnets.
Oh,
It's actually
or is
Carnet.
it Carnet?
Well, we'll find out. We'll ask Karen, but I know that we have a conference coming up in Canada, and in an instance like that, something like a Carnet may come in handy.
Ooh.
We also found out the ATA and ATA Carnet does not stand for American Trucking Association.
Oh, well, what
Amazing
does
stuff.
it?
I was also asking when we were in line getting coronavirus for lunch. We were talking. I was talking to the guy who I'm going to be doing Insiders with, Glenn Patton, later on. And I was asking if they put, and I'm going to ask him on Insiders again, but I was asking if they are going to insure any of the space commercialization and space build out, because they insure freight and cargo and all. He said they do satellites, I think, but not spaceships. Yeah, very expensive.
Well, maybe not for long.
Right, to insure a spaceship?
Yeah, maybe not for long. If we can get some of these initiatives underway, what once would be expensive will maybe not be so bad after all.
I know that you have, I think to end the day, one of the last things you're going to be doing is a fireside chat with Susie Schoenberg?
Yes.
From Flexport.
Yeah, doing a little research on them. What a fantastic mission they are doing. Flexport.com we've all heard about, but they've taken that Flexport.com and they've leveraged it into also having a Flexport.org. Susie is the head of that, and it's all about mission-minded stuff, sustainability, the environment, social justice issues, helping others around the world. It seems like no supply chain issue is off the table. She's doing many different kinds of initiatives.
You know, we covered McLean Trucking on the Online Trucking Hall of Fame, and Malcolm McLean is the guy who made the intermodal shipping container. Now, like a lot of things in history, he didn't invent it, but he came up with one. And a couple interesting things about why his shipping container took off versus other ones. Like there were military applications.
It was the right size, right?
No, it's not that. It's that he took his patents and he let anyone use it. So he basically made it, like freeware.
Yeah.
Open source code to his containers, so anyone could adopt them, and that's how
like the Ethereum
really took
network.
Off. Yeah, but when he started this company, when he started his shipping end of his company, he was given a $22 million bank loan. And in today's dollars, that's over $200 million. Now
that's substantial.
Well, let's look at some of the money, though, the venture capital that's pouring into our industry now. And you kind of, like, you mentioned Flexport. They have, what, do they get, like $1 billion or something?
In valuation, I don't know. But yes, they're very well funded. Yes.
All right, so 4 shipping containers they need to invent. Right?
That's all.
Yeah, just 4.
Just 4 non-proprietary, super awesome inventions.
Now, one of the great things about working at FreightWaves is we get to work with all of these reporters who, when we're here broadcasting and talking to them, they get to roam the floor and get the pulse of the event. And one of them is here with us. His name is Eric Kulisch. Come on, man. Coolie High Harmony.
Hey,
what's up, guys? How you doing?
What's
Thanks
up,
for joining us.
Anytime.
It feels very cool to have you on.
Yeah. Not just coolish.
I've never heard that.
Super
I've never
cool.
heard that joke before.
Really? It's the first time.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the inventiveness of Chad. He was doing an open mic last night.
We're pretty original right here on What the Truck, Eric. Well, you've been here a little while. Give us a lay of the land, such as you're seeing.
Yeah. What's going on the floor?
I mean, well, you got the exhibit hall here, which is packed, but also there's been some pretty neat panels and just bending people's ears here. And one thing one of the things that's on people's minds is, like you talked about, sustainability and especially carbon emissions.
Yeah.
Aircraft are, 2% of global emissions, so a relatively small part of the overall transport amount, but it's still a pretty significant
Pretty
amount.
significant if you think about it.
I forget the exact numbers. So, people in this business are paying attention to it. And so, we learned some things yesterday in a panel. And it was interesting, you mentioned flexport.org.
Right.
They have a lot of social justice and mission-oriented work they're doing. But part of it's sustainability. And
Yes.
And one of the neat things there is it's not just for charity. They're also helping their customers, especially smaller customers, kind of achieve that sustainability themselves. So they're like going like, hey, you want to reduce your carbon footprint? We don't really know how to do it. They're like helping them, showing them how to do it, giving them a roadmap, benchmark, guidance, so that, smaller and mid-sized companies that aren't Walmart or DHL can kind of start doing that for themselves.
It's so fantastic. One of the things I'm curious about is how did an organization such as Flexport.com decide they wanted to do an initiative like a Flexport.org?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer exactly.
Well, we will find out.
Well, I think it's because they're smart. I think that they're being forward-thinking. And if you look at the buying habits of millennials, and especially Gen Z, they're very sustainability focused.
Yep.
And you're going to start seeing, in terms of earning reports, your green footprint is going to become a bigger component, especially as things like TMSs be able to track miles and carbon output, and you can put air travel in that as well. And if you don't pass a certain grade, you're going to see you might have some issues.
That's a great observation, because the customer of the customers asking for that, or the retailer who the freight forwarder is working for, they're asking them, what do you do? What are you doing? Because I need my supply chain to be greener, because my customer at the Target counter is asking me about my footprint, so I'm asking you about your footprint. So it's all trickling down, and so and that the younger generation is really tapped into that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of environmental and safety issues, you have covered the lithium battery issue in the industry. We're using our lithium batteries. They're super efficient. We like them. They store battery life longer.
Yep.
And there have been some good rules in place about the movement of these goods, but it's the enforcement that doesn't seem to be happening. And some companies would be breaking the rules, and they don't seem to be paying the price for it. So what is the latest on what the industry is trying to do to create stronger enforcement for lithium batteries? Yeah,
there's a lot of rules around lithium batteries. They're extensive. More than I don't even know them all. But they start at the international level, government level, and trickle down to the national level, and then even airlines have their own rules on how to handle it. Passengers can carry them on board, but you can't take big boxes of them and stuff them in the bellies of a passenger plane. They can only go in bulk in a cargo plane. So, and then there's ways you got to package them and label them properly so everyone knows, so there's no surprises. So,
because what can happen?
Well, sometimes you can have a bad one. The electrode could be off, and then it could overheat, or if it's poorly ventilated, then the one overheats, then it spills into the next one. They get a rapid acceleration. Pretty soon, all of them are like, domino effect.
Chain reaction.
Chain reaction, and then you got a bad situation, and you don't want to be there.
Right.
Is the 737 MAX, is that a big topic in there? I know in earnings it came up in almost every airline's earnings was the 737 MAX, and how it seemed to affect everyone throughout that supply chain.
I don't think in here it is. I just had Wally Devereaux from Southwest Airlines on. They're they fly 737s, and they got some of the new the Maxes, so they fly more of them than anyone. It's all grounded right now. It's not a real big impact on the supply chain or the cargo people. The 737 is a narrow body, so it's limited to how much it can carry. But a lot of these airlines were planning on having a slightly bigger fleet with, these deliveries, or getting rid of some older planes. So, there's a few routes or networks where they don't have some planes they were expecting. But for most of the logistics folks in here, it's probably, but people in the airline industry, it's a big deal, at least domestically.
Well, they're flying old aircraft, right, that they would have retired.
Yeah, older ones or less fuel efficient ones. So for their bottom line, and they're having to do a lot of workarounds and canceling flights and rebooking people. So it's costly for the airlines. It's probably less visible to the logistics guys. that are flying on there.
Now you're a reporter. You're always hunting the next story. So what's the next story going on out there?
I can't give away my scoops
No,
right
break
this
it.
minute. No, but I've got like a dozen stories just in my back pocket. I hope I can get to them soon. There's so much good stuff here that I've picked up. I was in another panel right now just talking about government and regulatory stuff. So things that are on top of people's mind are some of the air cargo security with TSA, but also international air cargo through customs, and some of the advanced information they want in a better format so they can screen it, the cargo, do risk management before it comes. And just other regulatory things coming down the pike that people are watching. Cybersecurity is huge. Forwarders, a lot of the forwarding industry has been hit by ransomware attacks and so forth. So people are trying to figure out what kind of insurance to get. Do I have the proper insurance? How do I protect my networks? And so that's a big issue.
Well, another thing that I don't know if you broke this news, but you certainly covered it. Amazon taking over a couple of Pinnacle operations. How big of a deal is this? Big deal, little deal, Eric? And it's a power move. Like, what's next for Amazon on this?
That's everyone's watching Amazon. They're constantly in motion, changing the market or the environment. Before the Pinnacle operations that they picked up, Pinnacle Logistics, I think they picked up a facility or going to operate out of Baltimore, and another facility escapes my mind at the moment. I think they were having some financial problems and they picked them up on the cheap. So, and then before that, they interestingly enough signed a deal to get some cargo lift from a pure passenger, one of these like travel destination carriers, Sun Country. They fly to like sunny places mostly from Minneapolis.
Like here, now.
So Nashville, I think they come to here.
Sunny rays still coming down.
Hey, Eric, how do they go and read your articles?
FreightWaves.com and AmericanShipper.com.
American Shipper or FreightWaves.com. You're going to find his articles. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
What do we got next?
That was cool-ish.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Like, not completely just cool-ish.
No, it was very cool.
Of course. Who's next for us?
Bryan Schreiber. Where is Brian?
He's coming up soon.
He's right there.
He's getting mic'd
Brian's
up. We'll
gotta
talk
get
to him in just a minute.
up. 2 turntables and a microphone is all he needs.
Yeah. Are you really concerned about the lithium batteries when you go flying? You brought them up a few times, so I'm just curious if you're worried.
I have.
I don't know.
It's like one of the issues we're talking about in the at the conference. That's all I'm trying to say.
No, do you think someone's vape or something is going to set your airplane on fire?
No, I think it's gonna. I think it happens on cargo vessels, and it takes them down. And So, am I concerned about that? I think that there are a lot of concerned citizens, concerned shipper people. And they're wanting this to be addressed because those that cheat should not be able to get away with it.
And how would they be cheated? Just cheating regulations?
They just store them, ship them any old way, and then it's like, oh, no harm, no foul, thanks.
No,
anyway.
I was toying with you a little bit, but you're right. One of the biggest problems with fires at sea and fires in airplanes is misdeclared cargo. People saying it's something completely different than what it actually is.
Yeah.
Not declaring out those hazmat goods.
And it's time to get a hold of that issue in the industry, if possible, without making it unduly complicated or slowing things down.
Do you know that Bryan went to the Ohio State?
The Ohio State, he's a Buckeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he gets along with someone like Kevin Hills, the Sooner?
I don't know. We'd have to put him in a cage and see what happens.
Or you and Craig Fuller, who are, Sick-'em Bears.
Sick-'em Bears. I don't know that we'd be able to take on those Buckeyes.
Yeah. Is he all mic'd up, Bryan? You come on over.
Come on down.
What's
Bryan,
happening?
What's up, man?
Having another wonderful AirCargo conference.
Oh, yeah. Another
great.
wonderful one. Okay. How does this rank in the annals of AirCargo conferences you've been to?
This one, I think, is a record breaker in many regards.
Wow.
I think for exhibitors, for attendance, and it seems to keep growing every year. And we're getting some international companies coming in now, like Cathay Pacific's here. We have some airports from overseas, so it's been very successful.
Fantastic. I mean, I hope that's not recency bias, but we are here for the first time, so hope that we're doing our small part to make it a good conference. I noticed that as an Ohio State Buckeye, you majored in aviation, airway management, and operations. Man, that you are a dude who knew what he wanted at an early age. I mean, I was like, I didn't know if I was even going to declare to be an English major, and then after that, I still didn't know what I was going to do.
Well, I was flying airplanes at 16 when everybody else was getting their driver's license.
Oh, wow.
And decided I didn't want to be a pilot. I didn't want to be away from my family. I had a young family coming out of college and kind of went into the management end of things.
Wait, did that make you pretty popular though when you were 16 and you had you were flying planes?
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I imagine.
I took a date for a ride in college. She liked it a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if you think Trevor does that? Trevor, are you taking girls on dates in yours?
No, he's married with a
Okay.
child.
Well, maybe that's how he met his wife.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
We'll have to ask him.
Well, so why is Central Ohio? Why is that America's best kept secret as an international logistics hub?
So exactly because we reach half of the U.S. population and a third of the Canadian population within a one-day truck drive.
Wow. So the secret is getting out. You guys are doing a lot of stuff at the Rickenbacker International Airport, and you bring together all modes, like, don't you? Can you explain a little bit how some of that works?
Yeah, so I'm an airport guy. I work for the Airport Authority, but we run 3 airports and the foreign trade zone within Central Ohio. So we're really involved in logistics. And I always try to explain to my passenger side of the house that, the Rickenbacker Airport, where my office is not just an airport in a vacuum. It's a logistics ecosystem. So we have an intermodal ocean container yard terminal right attached to the airport. There's 4 of them in our region, but we have one right attached to the airport. So you get your air, your ocean, all in one spot geographically.
For people who don't know, what is an FTZ, a foreign trade zone?
So it's a U.S. customs program where you can defer, eliminate, or reduce customs duties and charges for international business. Basically, you have to be a high volume or a high value international importer to take advantage of the program.
What separates it from like a bonded warehouse per se?
So a few things. There's when your freight comes in, it moves. It doesn't have to wait at the port. It can direct deliver. Your systems within the warehouse are very tied into customs, so they have a high visibility on your stuff. And for instance, instead of filing an entry and paying customs fees for every single shipment that you bring into the United States, which caps out at about $500 depending on the value, you can consolidate all your shipments into one weekly entry. So if you have 20 shipments a week at $500, because of the connectivity with the customs system, you can consolidate that into one $500 transaction with customs instead of 20.
Wow.
And there's other advantages. It's a freight in a foreign trade zone does not officially enter the U.S. stream of commerce. So if it's brought in, stored, or there's a manufacturing process and then re-exported to a foreign country, you never pay any of the customs duties.
Yeah, Reebok was one of my first accounts when I was with FedEx Trade Networks, and they were huge into FTZs because footwear has it's high, it's like 25% duty rates on the footwear, so they don't want to pay that. They don't want to get that money tied up and give it to the government until they absolutely have to.
Right.
What are some of the main kinds of cargo that you see moving through your airport that you guys are moving every day? Like, what do you rank high in?
So at Rickenbacker, we're freighter only. So it's a little bit different. We're really unique in the world, only maybe other than Liège Airport in Belgium is similar to us. So we see a lot of fashion and apparel. As you mentioned, that's definitely our base load.
Yeah.
We're seeing increasing amounts of electronics, auto parts, and other commodities on the freighters as well.
Is that your ideal customer? People moving those type of commodities through the? I believe you have something called the Rickenbacker Inland Port.
Well, we kind of are retooling that because an inland port can mean a lot of things. It can be a river port. It's basically anything away from the ocean. We've gone away from the inland port moniker a little bit. We call it the North American International Freight Center now.
Ooh.
We haven't put a press release out about that yet. But
well, here you go. There it was.
We needed a title to adequately characterize the set of logistics assets that are in the region.
Yeah.
Which is encompassing of the airport, of the foreign trade zone, of all the warehousing and distribution, of all the trucking companies like Forward Air has their North American gigantic operation there. Or I guess they're called Forward now. We learned that this week.
Oh, wow.
So it's really a logistics ecosystem, as I mentioned.
Well, so you're dealing with all the different kinds of freight and cargo movement. What is, like, how do you do it? Like, I mean, I would think that it would be hard to do just one mode. Are you a jack of all trades, or do you find yourself spending like 90% of it really dealing with trucking or getting the goods out of the warehouses? Well, how's your time generally spent?
I'm a facilitator because I don't make any of the freight. I don't move any of the freight myself, but I try to connect companies and people that need the services with each other. And then just being a good collaborator. One of the reasons why we're so successful in Central Ohio is that we collaborate across businesses, even competitors. You know, and Abercrombie and Fitch's stuff rides on the same planes that the Gap rides on, and we all collaborate in that way.
You mentioned collaboration. You're here at a conference, tons of different companies, potential partners, potential rivals. Sorry, this thing keeps getting me. Anyways, who here really impresses you, and who here do you think could be a good collaborative partner? You don't have to necessarily name names, but is there industry, something going on in there that excites you? Or scares you?
What's exciting is nothing scares me. You really shouldn't be scared of anything in the freight industry except lithium-ion batteries, maybe.
He is very worried about those.
I know.
Being on his
This
aircraft.
is a very important issue.
Yeah.
But I think this was a fantastic conference because of the three entities that put it on. So you have your airport entity, which I'm just immediate past chair of Airports Council International's AirCargo. AirCargo. What's the word? Committee.
Okay.
For ACINA. So you have your airports, you have the trucking companies with the Air and Expedited Motor Carriers Association, and then you have your freight forwarders. So those are three major players of getting goods moved around, which is why this conference is so fantastic to have those three entities come together. It's not just an airport conference. It's not just a freight forwarder conference. It's not just an airline conference. You get it all here.
Yeah, we're meeting facilitators, integrators, collaborators, all different kinds of agents in the movement of freight and goods. It's fantastic to have you on. How do they collaborate and get to know more about what you're doing, Bryan?
So they can go to our website, rickandbeckeradvantage.com. My email is on there. You can always get a hold of me. I'm that guy that I'm kind of like the dot connector. I'm the point person for steering inquiries. So they're always welcome to visit the website.
What are you off to next after you get off our show at the truck and you go walk around the floor? Are you going to an exciting keynote? Are you going to, I don't know, who still has to go? Craig Fuller has to go tomorrow. He's doing his keynote here. I'm not sure what's on the docket for today.
He'll have to stop glowing from the sunshine and the fame of being on the truck. But after that,
now that everyone recognizes you.
What am I off to at the conference?
Yeah, what's next? What's cool?
Since I've been in my committee meeting all morning and other sessions, I really need to get in there and see the exhibitors more. I need to walk the show floor and talk to some old friends and meet new friends.
Now, do you grab a lot of swag? Like, some people like to go to every booth, and I remember when I'd run a booth, you'd have people, like, they wouldn't even say anything to you. They just walk by and, like, just like, grab something, and they go around the whole floor. Just look at that. Here, you can have this one. This one's for you.
Well, thank you.
And take it and have a T-shirt as well.
Thanks.
If you'd like.
But who has the best swag? We have T-shirts and we got sonar trucks.
There's some
what's your
awesome
favorite?
swag out there.
Yeah.
So I haven't been on the show floor enough to know what it is, but I do shopping for the kids.
Yeah, there's some
and
toys.
there's
There's
functional
some fun
stuff
toys.
for you.
Yeah, we got some NASA pins. Exciting stuff. All right, man. Well, thank you for joining us on the show. We really appreciate your time today.
Thank you for being here. You guys are one of the news outlets that I follow really intensely.
Oh, wow. It's a lot of pressure.
Well, thank you.
Well, we're
we'll
changing
pay you
the
later
world.
for that.
Yes,
All right.
that's what we get for a sonar truck.
Thanks,
you.
Bryan.
Just imagine if we gave him a Sue. We have very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? So we haven't had a chance to walk the floor yet. We said we were going to, but then we had to do a bunch of interviews.
I'm going to have to
a
get my
chance.
bag. I'm going to load up, man. I saw all kinds of toys for the kids.
So, okay, when you bring this stuff home to the kids, what do they like? Are they simple? Do they like a pencil or like a pen, like a mechanical pencil? Some people like that.
Usually they're more in the toy quality.
Oh.
Like our killer whale.
That is a. Is this a killer whale or is it a dolphin?
Sonar Susie.
I believe she's from the orca family, Chad.
She's an orca.
Now, I'll tell you something. Is there an aquarium in Nashville?
Yes.
Okay, have you been to it?
No.
Okay.
But it's big.
Yes.
And Chattanooga built theirs, I think, with the inspiration of Nashville and Atlanta have got one. We need to get one.
Well, in Atlanta, they have a whale shark.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Are you all mic'd up?
Who's coming on next? Who do we got on the show next?
We have got Andrew Ladebauche, CEO of Reliance Partners, and Ronald Ramsey, CCO of Reliance.
We've got a couple gentlemen coming on. Hold on.
Yeah, we got two of us.
Move on up.
Look, here we go.
Taking over the set.
Get you one more microphone,
bring in
too.
the other microphone.
Yeah. Got both
Make
these
some
gentlemen
room.
mic'd up. Look at that.
Man, it's too much C-level executive goodness from Reliance all at the same time. Great to have you guys on. Thanks for being here from Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
How's your drive in? It'll take about 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
bad.
These guys are right down the street from us. We are located in Freight Alley in Chattanooga. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here, but before we get to that, what's cool going on in Chattanooga right now?
Well, I mean, besides the startup economy just blowing up, Freight Alley, we got so many freight startups coming up there, but we've got a Carrier 411 conference coming up.
That's right.
Pretty exciting. It's coming up in March. And we're also got a couple other little things that we're going to be rolling out for Reliance Partners wise.
Yeah, I am a guest speaker at that particular conference with Cassandra Gaines. I'm excited, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
In March.
That's right.
I think we're actually having there's something going on at Freight Alley.
Do you guys always come to the AirCargo conference? First time?
Second time. We
Second.
came last year.
Okay.
So it's been a good conference for us. We have some customers here on the brokerage and asset-based trucking side. So it's definitely neat to learn about another niche within kind of the transportation industry.
So you come here kind of on a learning expedition, like listening to customers and what their issues are? Because I guess it all connects, and there's a regulatory environment that impacts all different forms and facets of the space.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's very educational, and it's definitely a little bit different than, say, your traditional over-the-road trucking operation. So it's always nice to come in and be briefed on everything that's going on.
It's also a great networking event as well.
Yeah. So who are you guys here to network with? What do you want to connect? What do you want people to know about Reliance? What's the purpose?
I mean, I think for us, coming out and seeing the freight forwarders, the freight brokers, the trucking operations, warehousing, so, let them know who Reliance Partners is, how we're growing, and kind of what we specialize in, which is transportation and logistics insurance, so all across the country.
One of the things, that we've been hearing a lot about is these nuclear verdicts. We've been hearing about, and it's been putting pressure on the entire industry, and some are saying that we are just at a time of crisis when it comes to insurance rates and what they're doing to those narrow margins that a lot of companies are barely able to maintain. What kind of pressure do you guys feel on this front, and what can we do?
I think honestly, it's from a publicity standpoint, it's really getting it out there and letting people know that some of these accidents and the nuclear verdicts that we're seeing, it's really unfair to the trucking operations and everyone within the industry. I think when they see a big truck, everyone just assumes they're at fault, right, for the accident.
Yep.
That's unfair to the driver, the company owners, everyone that's out there. I think from our standpoint, our responsibility is to make sure that when we take, let's say, your company out to the insurance marketplace, is educate the underwriting staff that's behind it, what you're doing to be a safe organization, and really shop it out within the marketplace and get you the best option and the best coverage. And I think a lot of truckers aren't getting that right now. They come in, they get a renewal that's 200% increase, like you said.
Yeah.
Narrow margins, and they have to close their doors, unfortunately.
Do they need to shop stronger and be smarter about it? What are you trying to evangelize? What do you wish more trucking companies knew about when it came to what you guys do?
I think exposing them to kind of open the curtain, right? A lot of times they don't understand kind of even the pressure that's on the insurance companies. So you see it and they operate. If you specialize in commercial auto, your margins are thin as well. It's not personal lines like your personal car, your homeowners. The losses are taking a toll on the insurance companies that are out there. So they're constantly asking for rate. And I think one thing that we do really well is we kind of have some safety and risk management, old DOT officers that come in. They educate our company owners on operating a better operation, and then they also go out and re-expose them to the underwriting staff within the insurance.
Seems like an easier way to make some change than to try to have incredible tort reform, which is probably what we really need. I know you guys at Reliance, you do some pretty unique stuff, lots of diversity. There's many different languages spoken at Reliance because of the customers that you're reaching out to. Can you talk a little bit about these movements that you're making, who you're reaching out to, and how and why it's so diverse?
Yeah, so it's a great point. And we are just doing that. We're trying to reflect our customer base, right? So we've got Punjabi speakers, Spanish speakers, Russian speakers. We want to be able to communicate with them, and we want them to be able to call in and have someone that they can relate to. If they need something as simple as adding a truck or getting a quote, right now it's really difficult. There's not a lot of options for them out there. So we're really trying to expand our hiring into those markets. We're having a lot of success, and it's something we're going to continue to focus on doing.
Is that throughout the United States? Like there's just in every different region?
That's exactly right.
Punjabi. Wow. Is it hard to find people speaking some Punjabi?
That's kind of a specific skill set, so it's somewhat difficult. But
yeah. Wow. I mean, so you guys, I know we also talk about the talent shortage, always looking for good talent. What's it in the environment of like Chattanooga for the different kinds of constituencies that you guys are reaching out to? What do you do to attract high-level talent such as you guys need?
I think it's just culture, staying in our lane, knowing who we are. We're trying to be the best insurance provider in the insurance space. We've got a great company culture, great benefits. We're a very flat organization. All the C-level executives sit out on the floor. We're all one big happy team. There's no private corner offices.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay,
we're often asked, because we are based in Chattanooga,
Right.
why is FreightWaves based in Chattanooga? So I'm going to ask you guys, so I don't have to answer this. Maybe you'll give a better answer and I can just steal it from you guys. Why are you guys based in Chattanooga?
Because it's the epicenter of transportation. I think Craig coined the name Freight Alley, but so few.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour drive from Birmingham, Atlanta, Nashville, Knoxville. I think I saw a stat like 80% of the U.S. is within a day's drive.
Wow.
It's a great dynamic. U.S. Express and Covenant back in the 80s really developed the real large asset-based carriers. You got Kenco, the largest privately held warehousing company. So there's a lot of transportation. There's a lot of talent to pull from as a result.
He makes a good point. We used to have a guy commute all the way from Florida to Freight Alley and back
for a few short,
long-lived
weeks,
yes.
I guess. I guess one other thought. I'm just wondering, like, what are you hearing? Are there some regulatory types of issues, some coverage types of issues that you're hearing that you guys are open to, like, sort of creating policies for?
Just say it, Chad. Is the trucking insurance system rigged? And is it time for a change?
I think we already asked that. That is not what I was asking.
I think from a brokerage standpoint, customers are asking brokers more and more to sign contracts if they have no business signing today, asking them to take on a lot of liability. It's kind of the overcorrection because of the litigious lawsuits that we've seen in the nuclear verdicts. So we're trying to be very creative to come up with some programs. For example, trailer pool coverage for a broker. Today that coverage is really not available. So we're trying to come up with some unique ideas to differentiate ourselves in the space.
Okay, so that's a part of the process is being here at the AirCargo conference. Fantastic, guys. Where do they go to learn more?
Yeah.
You can go to www.reliancepartners.com and you can read more about it there and all the coverages we had to offer. And we're all over social media. So check us out there on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I think we have an Instagram account. I'm not the tech guy, so.
Well, all right.
You guys getting
TikTok?
out there and checking out some good music
We don't have
tonight?
TikTok.
All right, not yet.
Yeah, we checked out some music last night. It's why we're sweating up here on screen. It's a little
Oh, okay.
after effects of the stage.
Yeah.
And Tootsies.
Oh, I see.
All right.
All right. Well, you have a nice shiny glow.
Yeah, take care.
Don't worry. All right. Great to have
Take
you
it easy,
guys
gentlemen.
on.
Enjoy the rest
Thank
of the show.
you. Awesome. Good stuff, man.
On radio this weekend on the Sirius XM show, I was talking to a transportation attorney, this guy, Joe Papalardo, and he was talking, and Cassandra's talked about this before, but it's the reptile, like one of the things they try to do with the jury is that, and this is what they call it, the reptile
the reptilian brain.
Yeah. Like appealing to, which sounds weird to me, because reptilian brain to me would almost be like
the amygdala.
I guess, right? I mean, I would,
the fear center of the brain.
Because you don't think of
appealing
reptiles as like caring though, but like with their but you can't do this though, Chad. You can't be like, because I was like, okay, is this a good argument that I could use if I was a lawyer? And he was like, no, that would be, you'd get objection. You can't be like, you would want your kids to ride on the road with a crazed maniac trucker or something to that effect. You can't do that. You have to be like, statistics show that, you have to be like super lawyery and dry about it. It's not like the courtroom dramas we know and love on TV.
Well, but it does sound like some real strong emotional claims, some ethos, really trying to stir up the jury, taint the jury pool in a lot of these cases is happening.
You know what's coming up next?
What is who?
It is Karen Groff.
It's Karen
the
Groff. It's
president
time.
of Roanoke Insurance Group. First time I've ever heard of your company, Karen.
Hi, Karen.
How are you
Great to
doing?
have you on.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming down. My dad says hi.
Yes, I know. Jerry, yes, I know. I miss him. I haven't seen him in a while.
They're in Florida right now. They got down there just in time for like the freezing weather.
Okay. Well, good timing then. Yeah.
They bought a new they go through cars as often as they go through houses. I don't know if you know that about them, but
oh yeah.
he already they bought a VW, and VW, come on, improve your quality. You're in Chattanooga. The alternator belt ripped on the trip. Yeah, they're tripped down. So I don't know.
Oh my God. So then they have to like pull off to the side and go get it repaired, or what?
No, they actually made it like it's like the car just like went kaput once they got to where they needed to be. So I don't know what's going on there. But you know what is going on, Chad? We are having a conference in Canada, right?
Yes.
In September.
September 16th.
And if you look around, there's all this gear here, right? And we gotta figure out a way to get it into Canada.
Oh,
right? And
we
it's not
need a
easy
freight
to
forwarder.
do. So how would we go about getting our equipment into Canada?
Well, I have a great idea for you.
Okay.
I think that you could try an ATA carnet.
Ooh.
Do you know what that is?
No, what is? Tell us what a carnet is. How do you
Is it a
spell
temporary
it?
import bond?
It's, yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an international customs document that lets you take merchandise, whether it's commercial samples, professional equipment,
Yeah.
into different
Cameras,
countries.
microphones.
So it's
There's-
not pronounced carnet, like a lot of people think.
No, not like a
Okay.
hairnet. No, it's
Okay.
it's carnet. It's
Carnet.
It's a French for book of tickets, and it's an international customs document that lets you take merchandise into foreign countries without paying duties or taxes if you're just taking them in temporarily. So if
Okay.
you're going in for a year or less, you can put your merchandise
Which we are.
on this document,
Yeah.
and basically it makes it easy. They like to call it a merchandise passport.
Okay.
And so think of it as a passport. You've got a book of tickets. Customs is going to sign it, stamp it when you leave the United States. And then when you get into the foreign country and you're clearing customs, they'll stamp it. You go about your business. You go to your trade show. You go see your clients. You show samples. And then when you leave the country, you get it stamped and you leave. So it's really like a passport. And it shows the proof of clearing in and clearing out of that country so that you won't be charged duties and taxes.
Now, how much in advance would we have to get something like this? You said it's good for a year, so could we apply for one now? Should we apply closer to when we know exactly what our inventory is going to be? How would that work?
Yeah, definitely. Wait until you know everything you're bringing. We can issue these carnets same day.
Yeah.
Basically.
Now, Amanda Barlow's here, and she's like, if you are from the Northeast, she's like the evangelist at all the Connect events
Yes.
of the carnets, and she's always just trying to peddle carnets to people. And they're like, we're not going to Canada. And she's like, so why is Roanoke involved in carnets, though?
Well, Roanoke has been involved in carnets since 1978.
Wow.
We were appointed by the U.S. Council for International Business, which is the International Chamber of Commerce arm in the United States. And they basically appointed us because it was hard to get the word out to the U.S. marketplace of the benefit of these products, and because Roanoke is so entrenched in the transportation industry.
Yeah.
All of our clients, are in the transportation business, and it made sense that we could get the offering out there. So we added it to our services. As you know, we do customs bonds, we do cargo insurance and other transit-related insurance. So adding carnet to the mix made sense.
Are there things that what do you typically see on a carnet, and are there things that are sort of like you can't put that on a carnet?
Yeah. Well, you see virtually everything on a carnet, but I'll tell you first what you don't get on a carnet is anything that's consumable or is not going to be returning back to the U.S. Right?
Okay.
So it's really for anything going over temporarily. I mean, virtually pretty much anything. So. So you wouldn't put pamphlets or giveaways, right, on a carnet, but you could put machinery samples, machinery equipment that you might be demonstrating. I mean, we've had hospitals take medical equipment that they want to demonstrate to solicit sales for their business, or trade show equipment. We've even had anything for entertainment, right? So
dinner could take its cowboy hat.
Yeah, sure. Right? You wouldn't have to
entertainment,
just, those expensive items, you wouldn't have to buy one wherever you go. Speaking of, can you bring it anywhere you want? Is a carnet valid in any country, or are there only some participants?
There are 100 countries and territories that accept carnets. So there's carnet member countries, which is it's run by the World Customs Organization, and so pretty much you can go to an awful lot of countries. But and when you go over into a country, you can cross and go to multiple countries within one trip. So you don't just have to go to that country and back.
Like perhaps like the Olympics in Dubai in 2020?
You could do that, certainly.
Or the World Cup in Qatar?
Do you do big events, or do you have some large clients that move tremendous amounts of things?
Yeah, both. So these big events, for the Olympics and stuff, you'll see a lot of carnets for the news networks, right?
Okay.
And then for the sporting equipment, for the sports teams, and for exhibitions and. What was your other question?
Do you deal with any rock bands?
Oh yeah.
Why, are you looking to go on tour
Have
again?
you seen some crazy stuff?
You
Oh,
and
yeah.
your dirigible?
We have a lot of.
Didgeridoo? What do you got there? What is your digital thing called?
I have no idea what you're talking
That
about.
little digital mixer you're always putting TikToks up about.
I don't have a didgeridoo.
Okay.
What's
that little drum machine called that you have?
Oh, my deluge.
Exactly.
It's my synth. I'm sorry.
It's very pedantic like that.
No,
I'm sorry you had
that's
experience
okay.
this, Karen.
Companies that rock bands and freight forwarders that move, entertainment companies, definitely.
Okay.
So what's your pitch though? So people out here who are like, I need to give you I have 60 seconds of your time, or you're in lunch over there waiting in line, or at dinner, and you're like, you know what, I really need to evangelize carnets. Got to sell a couple more. What are you going to say?
Well, a carnet is the most accessible way to take your merchandise overseas without duties or taxes. It's also the most cost-effective way. It's good for a year. But, if you're a freight forwarder or customs broker, having carnet in your arsenal to be able to offer it to a client when it's right. I mean, think about freight forwarders who have clients who they have all sorts of needs, right? They're exporting, or they have another situation temporarily where they need to go over. It needs to be in the arsenal of a freight forwarder to say, this is when you need a carnet.
Yeah.
And so I just can't say it any simpler than that. Is really, if you're not using carnet in your language and you're a freight forwarder, put it into your language, put it into your arsenal to make sure that you are being as competitive as the next guy who's also selling or offering carnets to their clients.
When I used to sell freight, and we actually sold your insurance policy with our stuff, and I think it was like 25 cents on $100, and whenever a shipper was like, no, we don't want the insurance, I would just facepalm. Like, you can't take that risk, can you? You got to get the cargo insurance.
I think so, yeah. Because
don't leave port without it.
No,
Right?
it's not worth it. People think that they're going to be covered by declaring their value on their bill of lading, but it's not the same. It's
all right.
Well,
I think we need to get a carnet. So how do we or anyone else who's like, we're also going to Canada? How do they reach out? How do they find out more?
You go online to carnetsonline.com.
Wow, carnetsonline.com.
Very easy.
Yeah.
And then you simply you register, you apply, and it's very easy. You have a login, and the software is self-explanatory. You don't need any training. You just follow along and fill it out. And then there's also a 1-800-CARNETS phone number that you call. And
you dialed it down. You got the good web address, and you got the perfect 1-800 number.
Oh yeah, we've been doing this a while.
Yeah.
But there's our service team is tremendous, and they can literally sit with you online, real time, on the phone and on the computer, helping you get through the application. We can get them issued same day. It's a pretty easy process.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great to have you on, Karen.
Had a good time. Thanks.
Thanks.
Take it easy. Wow. So
I think we'll have to do that. I think the hard part for us is knowing what we would want to bring.
Yeah, because that can change up to the last moment. Like even on the way here, remember we had to stop by Freight Alley and pick up some T-shirts.
Right.
Like we probably would have to put that on a carnet too, or
and we still forgot some things.
I know, and then we'd be like, we got to get some cables while we're here. And I imagine that would happen when you get to Canada. But I think the whole thing is to avoid having to buy or rent a ton of equipment, or as she mentioned, like we are at a conference right now, and when people want to exhibit, they need things like this are the perfect sales pitch for a carnet being at events like this, because everyone had to bring a bunch of stuff here. Even these stand-up signs. I don't know, how many setups you've done at we do this stuff, but back when I was doing sales, you would have to in like the back of your hatchback, you'd have to throw a table in there and a tablecloth and business cards and stuffed animals.
The band. You got your PAs, you got your amps.
Yeah.
You've got your Deluge synth. You've got your instruments, chords.
Yeah.
It's like costumes.
What'd you learn this episode? We talked to a bunch of different people. We learned about 2 different variants of insurance. You talked about the trucking and the nuclear verdicts. We talked a little bit about the reptile brain, the thing that drives Chad Prevost.
I tell you what, I learned a little bit more about lithium batteries.
Yeah, that's your reptile brain speaking, right? That fear you have of lithium-ion batteries.
I know. And I feel restless. I don't feel like there's an answer coming yet of enforcement. Also, I don't feel like there's an answer for these insurance rates, and I feel like something needs to be done. But we're all doing the best we can, but like one nuclear blow up just kind of blows it all up. You already knew what an integrator was, but I learned about what Bryan Schreiber does.
What about FTZs? Free trade zones, yeah?
Yeah, those too.
Or foreign trade zones.
Yeah.
Some people call them free trade zones, but it actually is foreign trade zone, which is kind of interesting if you think about it, because it's like it's in the U.S., but it's almost like its own like sovereign state within the U.S. They even have like their own little codes.
And and the idea is to not pay the taxes.
Yeah, that's what a lot of this stuff. So like just same as the Card A, it's just a way to not have to pay to not actually have to do an import entry and then do an export entry to bring your goods back, because you're just going to be there temporarily.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
What do we got coming up next? I know that there's going to be a fireside. Is that a fireside chat? Are you doing that one with Lionel Vanderwalt?
No, Scott Case. Scott Case.
Oh, it'll be a fireside case.
It is. That's right. Lionel Vanderwalt is in the very capable hands of Scott Case, and they know each other well. Scott Case is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here at the show.
Yeah.
Knows a little bit about all the things that these guys are doing. They wear a lot of hats.
They do.
And Scott is going to talk about it.
Not mine, though.
Then we will be having
Glenn Patton, right? From what's it called? On
FreightWaves Insiders, right?
From Roanoke Insurance Group, another person from over there. We talked about Carnets with Karen, but with him we'll talk more about the broader insurance and why that's important, and and why sometimes when shippers defer it, like I would just facepalm, because it's important stuff. Like I said, don't leave port without it. Don't leave the curb without it. You wouldn't drive your car without insurance, would you?
No, but I mean, so like, what? It's not expensive either, is it?
No, it's not. It's not.
That's why you do the facepalm. It's like at the post office. It doesn't cost. It costs a few cents to insure something for hundreds of dollars. You might as well do that.
Well, sure. And even though insurance rates may be going up, you know what goes up even more? Those verdicts. Imagine getting a $70 million verdict against you with no insurance. See you later, company. You're gone. You're on the street. You're busking for dimes.
Yeah, you could just be a chameleon company, though, and try to...
You know what people got to do, though? They got to download the FreightWaves TV app. Go in your app store right now. To listen to this show, the first one is out on audio already. I know they're going to upload it to video, the first session from this morning, if you go to FreightWaves.com, or go to Freightcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere podcasts are heard around the world. Or just look up What the Truck if you just want that one. You want to go a la carte. But why would you when you got the whole buffet that is Freightcast?
I know this is a special show, but there's a lot of offerings that we now have on the Freightcast network. Mm-hmm. And there's some deep dives.
Preach.
And still entertaining.
Say it again.
Yeah. So, everyone has just done so well here on the Freightcast team.
Of course. I mean, there's a reason why it's top 25 in business podcasts and growing. I mean,
like Anthony Smith and Zach, I love their yin and yang, their back and forth. One's
I feel
micro,
like a butt's coming.
One's macro, one is objective, one is subjective.
Yes.
And yet, with that Freightonomics, boy, they deliver it in a way. It's almost like Freakonomics.
Yeah,
but it's Freightonomics.
Sure.
You're taking me in.
Lean back. Boom, boom, boom. Stay tuned for the fireside chat with Scott Case and Lionel Vanderwalt, President CEO of the Americas at AirCargo.
AirCargo